Hi, I'm Claire. Most of the time you can find me on the internet making Lego videos, but over the past 3 months, I've discovered the wide world of BookTube. And to be completely honest, these videos look pretty fun. These people just sit around all day and read and talk about books and then read some more. They film themselves reading. Sometimes they even intermix parts of their daily routine like cooking, cleaning, doing chores. In my attempts at doing this, I have found this incredibly awkward and unflattering. I didn't necessarily know where to start and obviously had no idea what to do other than read. Therefore, in this video, I've taken a crack at one of the most common BookTube tropes, if you will, look at me, the 24-hour readathon. This means reading for 24 hours. Now, some of these 20-somethings do this in one sitting. Good for them. After architecture school and a career as an architect, I've pulled enough all-nighters to shave off 10 years of my life. Since I'm already dying early, I better hurry the f*** up and read as many books as I can. Therefore, here begins my adventure of timing myself and seeing how many books I can read in 24 hours over the course of a few days. Right now, I'm halfway through City of Glass. It's the third book in the Shadowhunter series. It's a fun book. However, I do feel like there's more to the story that I want. There's more development, but it is YA at the same time. And I have heard that Cassandra Clare gets like so much better. And so I kind of like want to just like make my way through the Mortal Instruments. I've also bought the Infernal Devices and I'm going to be reading it in an order that I found online, which I'll link down below. I'm on page 316 on here and let's get started and see how much I can read. So at this point, I've read for about an hour and I'm on page 388, which isn't super far, but it feels like I'm getting further into the book and into action scenes and like the main character, Clary, is really coming into her own and some interesting things have happened. But overall, I'm still enjoying this series. I did see that Fairy Loot is coming out with a special edition version of at least the first 3 books in this series. I don't think I will be picking it up, and to me, that's a sign that I'm not crazy about it, but I'm still enjoying it and I want to keep reading and understand the story a bit more. So I think my pace is okay. I was able to read for about 15 minutes at first and then I stopped, made some dinner, spent some time with my husband, and then now I was able to sit back down and hit another hour in. And there's a couple of different ways that I can track my time, whether with the timer or just like seeing what time it is and kind of taking notes. And I'm going to do probably a combination of that as I go through here. But anyway, let's keep going.
What are you doing? You're being a monkey? What are you doing? Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow.
Good morning. Before we get up for the day, I was going to get a little bit of reading done. Oliver's here with me, and last night I actually finished an hour and 27 minutes, so I have a lot to go. I have over 23 hours left to read, and we're already into day 2. So yesterday was kind of a fail, but I started quite late. Anyway, let's get back into City of Glass. All right, now that I'm done with City of Glass, I want to try to give you a little bit of a synopsis. It is the third book in the Mortal Instruments, which is the Shadowhunters world created by Cassandra Clare. It is set kind of early 2000s, I think it is, and it certainly feels that way in terms of like the style and the setting, which is kind of fun since I did live through that time. So anyway, regardless, I found this book very lighthearted, easy to read. It does feel like to teenagers and their romantic interest and, you know, the experiences and how they view the world. It is a little bit like kind of limited because of that, but I'm not really blaming it for it because it is a YA book. But as far as the story goes, the world that's surrounded by it, it is quite fascinating. It is a fantasy book that has like references to the Bible in it, which is kind of interesting, Old and New Testament. There are references to Judaism and Christianity in it, which some might be offended by or be interested by. I found it interesting. There's vampires and witches, warlocks. There are werewolves, and then there's this element called the Shadowhunter, which are these angelic creatures, or they're essentially creatures that are descendant from someone who had their blood infused with angels' blood, is my understanding of it, and therefore they have powers, essentially, so that they can help fight off the demon world. This book has strategy and a little bit of what you would consider a battle and a war, and it goes into the politics of the universe that this is surrounded surrounded by, and it is like an established older universe. And my understanding is that another series that's still in this universe called the Infernal Devices, that one is set in the past. My decision to start these Cassandra Clare books is because I felt like this is an established book series that is pretty substantial to a lot of young readers, and a lot of people that are my age and a little bit younger did read it when they were younger and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I have heard that her books do get even more and more interesting, so I will be getting into those, and I'm anticipating those books positively because I feel like once I understand this world, once it's built up, it's going to get even more and more interesting, and the mystery and the turns is what I've heard is great. So I'm going to keep moving forward, trudging along, getting through kind of this shadow hunter's world. Cassandra Clare is an incredibly prolific author and has written a lot of stuff, and it's kind of a big challenge to get through. So let's see. I mean, I only started really a couple weeks ago and I finished the first two. This is the third one, and I'm going to keep going. I enjoyed it. I think it's the best of the three of the Mortal Instruments that I've read, and I did enjoy it, and I want to read the next one. The next one for me is actually Clockwork Angel, which I did pull out, and I actually pulled out a few stack of books that I was thinking would be a good strategy in terms of moving forward with like the 21 hours left of reading that I have to do. And what I've picked out is Red Rising, which I know is like super popular now. I've never read it. It is a sci-fi fantasy of sorts, and it seems really, really interesting. It seems like a Mars dystopian thing. Next is Shadow and Bone. I have seen the TV show and I really like it. And I did buy the trilogy even before reading the first book. So this one's a little bit aged because I bought it a while ago, been wanting to read it for a while. And then finally by Robert Galbraith, The Cuckoo's Calling. And this is like a used version that I did pick up. This is, I think it's J.K. Rowling's adult mystery novels. So my strategy was kind of picking up books that are pretty easy reads, like Cassandra Clare, and then Red Rising I'm really excited about reading, so that's why I picked it, and then Cuckoo's Calling is like a mystery, and I figured that that would kind of keep me going. Do I keep going with Cassandra Clare? Do I read Red Rising and get really excited about it? I'm gonna do Clockwork Angel. Decided. Done. This is my next read. So I have some thoughts already. I'm only 36 pages in, and the writing is completely different than the three first books that I read in the Mortal Instruments series. I have heard that this series is significantly better, but it already has like gotten started. It's much darker. The synopsis on the back of the book is a little bit simple, but we're immediately introduced to this main character. It seems like, I'm not even sure, and already something pretty terrible happens to her, and you kind of see like what that means, but it's quite quick and it jumps in, and I'm really enjoying it. Workout complete, trying to get back to my old self, but let's make some quick dinner before I hop in the shower and get back to Clockwork Angel. So I try to read. Unfortunately, my husband keeps interrupting me.
Are you recording me? Well, I don't want to be on here. I look like crap.
So it is the next day, and last night I actually read for 4 hours and 27 minutes, and I am still working on Clockwork Angel, and I'm really enjoying it. It is much faster paced than the last three Cassandra Clare Mortal Instruments books that I read. It is, as of right now, this young girl from New York who in London, April 1878, she ends up actually getting entrapped, and all this kind of exciting stuff happens, and she's being kind of introduced into the Shadow Hunters world in a similar way to Clary was in the City of Bones. She's a more interesting character. I didn't find Clary that interesting. Anyway, I'm still enjoying this. Today I had an appointment and I walked by this local San Francisco bookstore, and I stopped in and did a little bit of shopping, and anyway, let me show you what I got. So first thing is Ollie V. Blake's One for My Enemy. I have always wanted to read this author, heard a ton about her, and I love the like inside artwork. It is quite beautiful. And anyway, it says, in modern day Manhattan, where we lay our scene, two rival witch families fight to maintain control of their respective criminal empires. And then I bought this box set, hardcover set of what everyone's been talking about, which is the Inheritance games. I was gonna wait and get the box set. I usually like to get the box sets because they're cheaper, the box set of the paperbacks, but those aren't out yet, and I've been dying to buy these. And now this is where I went a little bit overboard, because not only did I get this, but I got the Brothers Hawthorne. And then then finally I got Beach Read by Emily Henry. I am not a romance reader. I was thinking about doing a video of me reading like 7 romance books in 7 days. Anyway, let me know if you think that sounds interesting. We have over 19 hours left to keep going on Clockwork Angel. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna finish it. I anticipate that I'm gonna wanna read the next one, so I don't know if I'm gonna buy that or if I'm gonna switch over to one of the other books that I've talked about. Anyway, let's get going. I have some salad. I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna read, I'm gonna eat. It's gonna be a good day. It's time to make some dinner. I'm almost halfway through Clockwork Angel, loving it, but we're having some shrimp burgers with rice and some veggies. So we just got back from Jewish family holiday celebrations at my aunt's house, and I'm still reading Clockwork Angel. I had to pause for most of today. I haven't even gotten to read, so I feel like I want to get a few hours in tonight. I'm quite behind. It is taking me a significantly longer time than I expected to kind of get 24 hours of reading in, which is interesting. I honestly thought I spent more time reading than I do. Good morning. We have a few updates, or I have a few updates for you. I ended up finishing Clockwork Angel. Let me grab it. That's the second book of this challenge and the second Cassandra Clare book, the fourth Cassandra Clare book that I have read, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I won't be reading another Cassandra Clare book right away because I'm just in the mood for something else, and so I decided to read. Anyway, we'll get into what I decided to read in a second, but talk a little bit about this book. Now, I find that the Infernal Devices series, which is this one, which includes Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, Clockwork Princess, within the Shadowhunters world. Cassandra Clare makes slight references to places that actually existed to kind of give you a picture of the universe that she's built, and it's really fun and interesting. I did get bored like a couple times, so it's not like a 5 out of 5, like I have to read the next one. I do feel like having a new writing style, but I did enjoy this one significantly more than the first 3, which are like City of Glass, City of Bones, all those ones. I found the characters more likable, a little bit less, I don't want to use the word frail, but the main female character, there's a female protagonist in both of these trilogies, or at least both of all the books that I've read, and I prefer the one in here. Her name is Tessa. She has flown from New York, or she has taken a boat from New York to London to go meet up with her brother, but then she ends up getting imprisoned by these warlocks, and she is being tested because they think she might be of the magical world, even though she grew up as a human. So you kind of go through that experience, and then she meets a bunch of shadow hunters and gets taken in by them. It's very fascinating. It is not that fast paced, but the second half of the book is quite fast paced, and there was a twist that happened that unfortunately I did predict, but that doesn't bother me when it comes to a book. Anyway, let's get into our next one. So I finished that around the 10 and a half, 11 hour marker. And then right now I'm about 13 hours and 18 minutes in, and I have already spent that time differential on Fourth Wing. I decided to pick this up because honestly, I'm like a little scared, like I'm getting more and more into book social media, and I'm afraid more and more of this is going to get ruined for me, and already some of it has, and so I'm trying to just like read it before more spoilers happen. And also Iron Flame, the sequel to this, is coming out I think in like the next month or 2. I'm already enjoying it. I'm 116 pages in. You probably already know the synopsis of it, but this is the first of what's supposed to be, I think, a 4-book series, and the universe is really interesting. It's like a war-torn dragon magical world, and it's set in this school setting. It's almost like a university setting because they start at like 20 years old. That's set up into 4 sections. There are healers, scribes, riders, and then there's one more thing I don't remember. But anyway, so and then I think just infantrymen, just like basic army men. We are introduced to Violet, who is the youngest daughter of the head of the school, and her mother, even though Violet always wanted to be a scribe, wanted to kind of sit in the books and just like be a scribe like her father, her mother, who was a writer, said no, and so she was forced into going into the grueling and deadly writers school of this university setting, and it's essentially like a war training academic environment. It's quite interesting. There are people that are slated to hate her because of her lineage and vice versa, and it is quite fascinating. There are some friends that she makes along the way. It is a good time. It is a fast read. I already tell that I'm gonna like this book, and I'm already like a little sad that I'm gonna be done reading it because I've like had it on my shelf for like a couple weeks now. This is one of the most well-marketed books, I think I would say. It really took social media by storm. But anyway, I'm gonna keep reading this, and I'm loving it. Like I knew I was gonna love it. Everyone loves it. I'm just a basic been a minute. I have finished Fourth Wing. I have 4 hours left on my 24-hour timer, and I know what I'm gonna read next, but really quickly, I had a great time reading this. I basically sat down and didn't move, and it is a very fun time. I may have already pre-ordered Iron Flame. I do feel like I'm having a little bit of like a reading hangover, and I tell you that only because it's not because this is like the best piece of fiction or the best piece of fantasy fiction I've ever read, but it is a lot of fun. I have seen a lot of negative reviews on it, and I kind of agree with a lot of the things that they said in terms of the lack of world building and whatnot, but it is a good time. I cried, I had a good time. It is a fun read. I definitely see why this is recommended to people who've never read fantasy before, because it's more romance than it is fantasy. There's less world building. You kind of get thrown immediately right into the action, and it is quite a bit of fun. There are a couple elements that I thought like didn't have the weight that they wanted to. Like at the beginning, there's like some dangerous scenes that happen, but the book is about her. So in my head, I was like, there's no way they're gonna kill her off because she's the protagonist. However, it was still a good time. I had a good time. My heart was racing for her to survive. It is incredible, the publishing house and their marketing and how they were able to make this so outrageously popular. And obviously the ease of readability, I think, is one of the reasons why so many people, it is a very digestible book. You know, you can kind of like read it quickly and it takes like a day or two and you're done. It's a lot of fun. I decided to read The Inheritance Games next. Now, my only knowledge of this book is it's wildly popular. It's a YA mystery thriller, and it's essentially about a girl who inherits out of the blue from someone she doesn't know billions of dollars, and kind of there's a mystery and there's lots of games and puzzles, and she's quite smart. But anyway, let's get into it. So it's a couple days later, but it basically took me a week to finish reading 24 hours, which is kind of outrageous. I honestly thought it was going to take me like 2 or 3 days. In my head, I think I read for way more hours a day than I do. And I definitely didn't try as hard as I could have. So to be fair, maybe next time I'll try a little bit harder. Anyway, I ended up actually reading some pretty good books. There was nothing that I totally hated. It was essentially these 4. I still haven't talked about The Inheritance Games, but I basically had 3 hours left after I finished Fourth Wing, and then I just powered through The Inheritance Games, and I really had a good time. I've actually already finished the second one, which is Hawthorne Legacy. It is a young girl. She's 16 years old. Her name is Avery, and she inherits out of the blue billions of dollars from this random older gentleman who has 4 sons. Anyway, she gets involved in the family drama and all the games, and it's a YA murder mystery, which I think I've mentioned before. It's a lot of fun. I think it's a really easy read. You can honestly read this in like a day. Jennifer Lynn Barnes's writing style is quite gripping in the sense that there's nothing flowery, but she does describe the environment quite well. I really liked how she moves the plot forward quite quickly, so it's a nice, refreshing read. I had a good time reading it. I have since gotten into much more melodic writing, and I'm finding that I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of that right now. So anyway, I really enjoyed this, and I still have The Final Gambit and The Brothers Hawthorne to read, and I'm really looking forward to, you know, maybe even reading more of her work as well. I mean, it's not too bad. These are kind of chunky, but I do know that I was expecting to do more. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video in any way, shape, or form, or not at all, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. I like books.
How do you feel about how do you feel after accomplishing your 24-hour readathon challenge?
I'm kind of embarrassed how long it took me.
It would take 24 hours, yes.
It took me like a week.
You mean it took you 24 hours?
Over the course of a week.
You should say that in the video, like, I'm kind of embarrassed how long it took me. It did take me 24 hours.
It's not that funny.
It was a little fun.
Like, how many books did you guess that I was going to read during this time?
More than what you read.